What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode. Now a few days ago I did a Q&A right here on the vlog and I asked you guys to ask me some questions. Now one question that popped up a lot is about my office and just how much it costs for me to operate and run out of this space. Now instead of just doing a 1 or 2 minute segment, I decided to devote a full episode on what it took for me to renovate this space and what it costs for me to operate out of it on a monthly basis. Now a few months ago I posted a video of me moving in and you guys saw just how crusty and disgusting that this office space was. It had actually been vacant for about 3 or 4 years and there was nothing in that. Before then it was a CrossFit gym and they only had it for about 2 or 3 months and it was vacant again for another 3 or 4 years before that. So all in all, this space sat empty for about 8 years without someone being in it full time. So you can only imagine what I had to do to bring it up to where it is now. This included new paint, new flooring, installing some plumbing fixtures, electronics, office furniture, etc. What I'm going to do today is go line by line and tell you just how much it costs for me to renovate this office space. I'm going to explain how much my operating costs are for me to stay here month by month, just so you guys can have an insight on what it might take for you to open up an office of your very own. Now I'm just going to throw this disclaimer out there for everyone wondering. An office space is not required. I worked for years and years out of Starbucks coffee shops or Panera Bread Company. There's a lot of spaces that I use to meet with my clients. The only reason why I moved here is because, as you can see, I've grown by leaps and bounds over the past 5 or so years and I really needed a space to store my equipment. Now I was working out of a storage facility that really fit my needs, but at the time I was experiencing some dramatic growth and I found this spot to be perfect to suit my needs. It had everything that I needed, such as a storage space, a small conference room where I could meet with clients, an office, it had a bathroom, it's heated and cooled, it's really perfect for my needs, and now it's going to allow me to grow into a much larger space when I'm done here. But that won't be for quite some time. I feel that at minimum I could probably still be here another 2 years before I decide to move on to something bigger or something nicer. Who knows? Now before we get started, just about every spot that you go to is going to require a deposit on the building itself. This gives you the keys to the building and it allows you to go ahead and start moving things in, but it's not your first month's rent. My deposit for this building was $1,000, which happens to be how much it costs me to rent the spot every month. Now once you have the keys to the building, that doesn't mean that any of the utilities are necessarily included in the cost. Sometimes your landlord will include the utilities like the power, the water, the phone and internet services, but that's not always guaranteed. In my case, it was not guaranteed, so I had to pay deposits on all the utilities such as gas, water, internet. Some people have a sewage or a dumpster fee, anything like that. Now again, that's not your first month. That is what it takes for these items to get turned on. So be looking out for that cost on top of your deposit for moving in the building. So far we're at $1,800 and we still have a crusty old office space. How much is it going to cost for me to fix it up and make it look nice? When you finally get the keys to your building and you have to move in, if your building is as in bad a shape as mine was, you're going to have to spend some cash renovating the place to make it look presentable to your future clients. I had to go through and paint and do some drywall fixing and fix the floors and things of that nature. We're going to start off with what you see on the walls, which is the paint. My office had some nasty paint and wallpaper up, which we had to remove because it really didn't fit the vibe of the room. The rest of the place was painted white and cream and it was just kind of stained and gross looking, so I decided to paint everything up. I spent a total of $360 on paint, primer, masking tape, rollers, everything that I needed to paint the entire spot minus the warehouse portion. Paint is going to be the easiest and the quickest way to really transform a room. It works the same as uplighting. You go into a venue or a location, they have white, really drab walls. You come in, you paint the walls with color, and it really brings the room to life. It really worked out well in here. I chose to go with a gray or a neutral color. That way, if I decided to do some lighting fixtures in here, it would really pop off the walls. Next comes the flooring. Now, in this office, we had really nasty, gross green carpet. It even had had just some rat poop on it and stained up. It was totally nasty. I feel like I might have needed a couple baths after removing it. This was really labor intensive in removing the flooring as well as the glue that was underneath it. It took me way longer than I ever expected, but we finally got it done. We went with a product called VLT, which is vinyl luxury tile. It's basically a laminate wood flooring, but it's vinyl, so you can get it wet, it can stay wet, and a building like this, a metal building, you're always gonna have a leak or two once a really hard storm comes. It's just bound to happen, especially in a building that's this old. I went with a secondhand distributor on my flooring, and it really saved me some money versus going to a big box store. When going with a secondhand store over buying it brand new, what you're gonna find is sometimes the pieces either don't fit right or they're miscolored, but you have to buy more than you need so you can toss a lot of those miscuts or misprints out. I ended up spending $890 on it, and that includes the flooring and the underlayment underneath. What that acts as a vapor barrier, that way you don't have any moisture or smells or weird stuff that comes up underneath the vinyl tile and can pop through, ultimately ruining your floor. Stepping over into the bathroom, it really wasn't that bad other than the toilet that was completely nasty. This building, like I said, had sat pretty much vacant for about 8 years, and the city I live in has really hard water, and it really did a number on the toilet. It was really nasty, probably something that you would see in an old mechanic shop. And if I'm gonna have customers here, if they've got to use the bathroom, I don't want that to be a turnoff and them to think that I'm either gross or nasty when they walk out of the door. So I replaced the old toilet with a new toilet. Those things are pretty cheap. It only cost me about $100. So once you're done with the essentials, you still have an empty room that you've got to kind of make your own. That's where office furnishings come in. Now you can go really wild and really crazy, or you can really go cheap and save some money. I lucked out and had a friend that was moving offices, and he saved me quite a bit of cash on my office furniture. Now the furniture that I have in here, brand new, cost around $3,000, but he sold it to me at an unbelievable deal. I also had to put a conference room table in. I got that from my church. They sold that to me for a really good deal, and then we outfit everything with chairs, which I had to buy from the store. All in all, I spent about $1,500 outfitting my office with furniture. That includes my conference room table, my office table, filing cabinets for all my paperwork. As you can see behind me, the suite that I have for my desk, everything that it costs to get furniture in here, I paid about $1,500 for, including the chairs and this really nice chair that I'm sitting in now. I had a really cheap computer chair that just wasn't very comfortable, and I decided to splurge a little bit when I bought this office chair. It was about $200, $300 by itself, but it's really nice, especially if you're spending a lot of time at your computer. Now when you have a place to conduct business, then you have to dress it up a little bit with the electronics. I have TVs in my office and my conference room that allows me to stream Apple Play or hook up a computer directly to it. That way I can visually show my clients just what I can do for them. Also, this includes things like your printers, your fax machines. I have a refrigerator in my office as well as a coffee pot, things that you really need to kind of make it a home or an office. Now you've got your office space, you've got a spot that you've really made your own with the paint, the flooring, the electronics, really bringing it all together. In my case, before I could open to the public, I had to apply for my business license. Now I already had a business license, but I needed one for the physical structure. Now before I could open to the public, I had to go through and pass inspection, and I had to update my fire alarms, my fire extinguishers, my exit signs. I had to make sure that there was parking for the disabled out front, all of these things that really complete your business and make you able to open to the public. All in all, this cost me about $300. It wasn't that expensive, but you can't open to the public until you pass this inspection. So really, this is probably one of the things that should have been on the priority list, but it fell down to the bottom. That's okay. I passed inspection, and now I'm open for business. Now I will say you can save quite a bit of money in some cases by shopping on Facebook or Craigslist, or even going to secondhand places like Habitat for Humanity stores. You can really find some great deals if you shop around. you can also save a lot of money by doing this work yourself. I know in a lot of those renovation videos, some people commented, why not just hire somebody else to do the work? All in all, I spent about $6,450 to complete and open to the public. Had I hired someone else in, I guarantee you the price probably would have been double. The caveat to that is it probably would have been open a lot sooner. It took me about 3 weeks or a month to be open to the public once I got the keys to my space. Had I had somebody else do it, we probably could have been open in a week and a half or 2 weeks. So to wrap things up, all in all, it cost me about $6,400, give or take, to open to the public. That does not include what it costs for me to operate month by month. Like I said earlier, my deposit for the building itself was $1,000. My lease is also $1,000, and depending on where you are, you may have to sign a 2 or 3 year lease. Luckily, my landlord is a local business owner. He kind of understood my situation, and he allowed me to sign a 1 year lease. That lease is up in March, and I'm probably going to sign for another 2 to 3 years just because I know that this is going to work for my budget and I like it here. You can't have an office space without the utilities. Here I'm all electric except for the heat. The electricity bill per month cost me about $130. The gas cost me about $75. It's really not that bad, but I could probably do it for a little less. In the summertime, I like to run my AC at about 68 degrees, so it's super comfortable for me and my clients. In the wintertime, I've been averaging running my heat at about 70. Also super comfortable. Now, if you're willing to deal with a little bit more heat, a little bit more cold, you can get away with your utility costs not costing you as much. Just a thought. The water here is super cheap. It's only me. I've got a toilet and I've got a couple sinks. Sometimes I cook here, sometimes I don't. So water only runs me about $30. That includes the garbage container. We've got a dumpster outside that the whole complex around here uses. Sometimes it gets really full and it's super annoying, but it's factored into the cost of the rent. Now, you can't do business without a phone or an internet plan. I have the basic of the basic phone plan. It allows me to call local and long distance. It's really cheap. Now, I did decide to spend a little bit more on my internet plan just because I do things like upload to YouTube, download a bunch of music, and stream. Now, you can go higher or lower depending on what your needs are, but I didn't want to be bogged down while here at the office, so I decided to spend a little bit more money. 9 times out of 10, you're going to need insurance before you can even open up for business. Your landlord or your lease owner will more than likely require it just in case you burn the place down. A lot of the times it acts simply as a renter's insurance policy or whatever. I actually got my company insurance to tie into the building itself, so everything that I have in here is insured in the event of a catastrophe, such as a flood or this place burning down, or let's say a tornado hit the building. All the things that are in this building are going to be covered, including my trailers that are parked out back. If it's on the property, it's covered by my insurance. It's definitely something that you want in case of an emergency. And to wrap things up, last on the list, you have security. Now, this is definitely a luxury item, but it's something that really just kind of puts you at peace of mind. You don't want someone breaking into your office space, stealing what you have here, especially when you have valuable DJ equipment or sound equipment or any equipment for that nature. You want it to stay where it's at. In addition to your security system, it's always great to have cameras in place. That way, if something happens, you have a clear image of the thief and you can catch him. If a thief wants something bad enough, they're going to find a way to get it, but you can use your security system as a deterrent to kind of keep the mischief out. And that's it. It takes about $1,600 for me to operate in this space month to month. Now, your prices may vary, but I would say if you can't at least make double or triple what you're spending to operate running out of an office space, I would highly not suggest it. It's only going to make your life worse and lead to some unwanted stress. For me, it really fit into what I was trying to do and grow as a business itself, and it's really helped me kind of separate my work and my life, not having them in the same location. I get here at 9 or earlier and I leave at 5 o'clock. If I'm not done with it, then I'll pick it back up the next day. I do spend a lot of time here, but I've made the space comfy and cozy, and really everything that I like is here. Coming to the office does not become a drag day by day. Another thing that you've got to think about is once you sign your name on the dotted line, it is yours. Your landlord or lease owner doesn't care if your month of December is slow or business is slowed down. You are due that money once you sign the contract. So be thinking about this a year and ahead. Can you afford it, not only for the time being, but for the foreseeable future? Make sure that you have a backup plan in case something goes wrong. You still need to be able to pay your bills. Having 3 to 4 months of expenses saved up before you even move into the spot spot is something that I highly recommend. And while you're working throughout the summer and the fall time during your busy season, be sure to start putting back money so you can afford it during the slow times when it ultimately slows down, just like it is here. So let's say that you can't afford an office space like this for the foreseeable future. What you can do in some areas is what's called a shared office space. There's companies like Regis or others that you can go in and just have a office space that is kind of dedicated to you, but it's shared throughout the month if you're not in there. Now, one thing that you probably won't be able to do is really go through and customize it and deck it out to make it fit your company theme, but it will give you a place to meet your clients other than a place like Starbucks or Panera Bread. A lot of times they have shared conference spaces or they have shared internet and utilities, so the price isn't as high, but again, you won't be able to come and go and do as you please. You have to be respectable of your neighbors. Here, I can do whatever I want to. It's my space, and if I want to lock the doors and take a nap, I can lock the doors and take a nap. That's it for today's episode. If you have an office space of your own, I would love for you to leave some comments down below sharing your experience with other DJs. You might give them some insight or something that I might have looked over. If you've got any questions or concerns about my office space in particular, you don't want to leave it down in the comment section, shoot me an email, djwoopig@gmail.com. I promise you I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. Also, follow me on social media, djwoopig across all social media platforms. As always, I ask that you do not call me. If you haven't done so already, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot of great content on a lot of different things. I feel like I could really help you out. Hit the notification bell, that way you can be notified every time we post something new to the channel. And that includes videos, live streams, or even the community posts midweek asking you guys about what you want to see in the next upcoming episode. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.